Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is currently ripping it up for Marseille in both the Europa League and Ligue A. When I see him in any other shirt than the Arsenal shirt, I can't help but think to myself, what went wrong? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be uncovering the ugly truth and reason behind Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's Arsenal departure. On September the 15th, 2020, Arsenal announced Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang had signed a new contract with the club. Reports suggested that the club captain had seen his wages increase into the Mesut realms of figures, with a weekly return exceeding that of £300,000 per week. A saga which dragged on for weeks, there was relief when Arsenal fans and Mikel Arteta himself saw Aubameyang put pen to paper on a new deal. Aubameyang, or known as Arsenal fans as Aubameyang, stated that two things persuaded him to stay. The first thing was Mikel Arteta, because he said since he came in, he has brought a lot of positivity and a new philosophy. He thinks that was important because it matched his game, and he feels like he can improve under Arteta, and that was the key factor for him signing the deal, as well as the love he receives from the fans and the whole club. However, that season, Aubameyang would score in just 7 Premier League games, as Arsenal struggled and eventually finished 8th. That season would start the decline of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Okay, let's head to the following season, 2021-22, which would be a year that the Gunners surprised most and went on the hunt for a top 4 place. It was also the campaign that would be followed by the Amazon Cabras for the All or Nothing series. However, it would be the season when Aubameyang's time at the club would come to an end. Having missed the start of the season after contracting COVID-19, Aubameyang found form from matchday 3, where he would score against Norwich in a run of 6 Premier League games, scoring 4 goals. However, few would have predicted the 4th would be his last for the club. After an agreed period of leave to visit his mother in France, Aubameyang returned to the club past the deadline set by the club. The Athletic reported that Aubameyang was then asked not to report to London Colney. He then was not present for the squad for the 3-0 win over Southampton, which Arteta described as being of yet another disciplinary breach, which was in reference to his late return from France. With a win in the bag without the captain, few thought he would come into the next game against West Ham. That said, perhaps even fewer would predict what would be announced the day before. Just a day after the reports revealing the late return from France on December 13th, the decision to strip Aubameyang of the club captaincy was announced. It was a decision which was later revealed on the All or Nothing that had been told to the players separately before a publication from the club. A statement from the club read, "Following his latest disciplinary breach last week, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang will no longer be our club captain and will not be considered for selection for the match against West Ham United. We expect all our players, particularly our captain, to work to the rules and standards we have all set and agreed. We are fully focused on the match against West Ham." During that day's press conference, the topic was of course the highlight of discussion. However, as usual, Arteta refused to be drawn too much beyond what had been divulged in the statement. Arteta said, "I don't have much more to say. It's a really clear statement from the club. It's a decision we have made on the last incident with the player. This is where we stand." Aubameyang's close friend Alexander Lacazette was given the captaincy and would carry it until the end of the season, when he would leave after the expiry of his contract. However, he would lose his strike partner 6 months prior to this. With Arteta's decision to strip Aubameyang of the captaincy, he also wanted the Gunners to find a way for him to leave. After struggling to find any suitors throughout the January window, eventually an agreement to terminate his contract so he could sign for Barcelona was agreed. Flying out on transfer deadline day without permission from Arsenal, as revealed in the All or Nothing series, the striker's stay at the club, where he wanted to become a legend, ended. At his unveiling as a Barcelona player, Aubameyang responded to the rumours of a rift with Arteta. He said, "My last few months at Arsenal were complicated. That's football sometimes." He said, "For my part, I never wanted to do anything wrong. My problem was only with Arteta. I can't say much more. I wasn't happy. It was just him and he made that decision. He wasn't happy. I can't tell you more. He wasn't very happy. I was very calm." When Arteta was asked about his thoughts on Aubameyang's comments, he refused to be drawn into a direct response. However, the Spaniard was keen to make sure the focus remained firmly on the club's future. It's his opinion. That's his opinion. That is what he said, and you have to respect that. He said, I am grateful for what Oba had done at the club and his contributions since I have been here. The way I see myself in that relationship is the solution, not the problem. We all made a decision that the best thing was to move on. Now he plays for Barca. We had different meetings and the decision was taken collectively between the player, the club and agent. Aubameyang would go on to play 23 times for Barcelona as the season concluded, scoring 13 goals and helping Barca qualify for the Champions League. Meanwhile, he watched his now former side Arsenal fall at the final hurdle, with many pointing to a lack of a striker signing in January to replace Aubameyang as one of the key factors in missing out on top 4. In the summer, the Amazon doc All or Nothing Arsenal was released. Within, fans were promised an inside look at how the club reacted to the Aubameyang controversy. While it was clear many details remained private and not for public viewing, there was one particular exchange with Mikel Arteta which caught the attention of most. After conducting a press conference where he was asked about Aubameyang's exile, he was videoed speaking to the Director of Media Communications, Marc Gonella, about the saga. Arteta said, "That's why I have everything documented with the dates, the times, the conversations, how it happened, why it happened. Because if one day it's needed, he can use it." Arteta said he's been late apart from all the issues many times. The club has got a tradition. When you get paid that much money, you have to act appropriately. Technical director Edu was also interviewed on the topic and spoke of his own internal battle with the decision. The Brazilian explained why he found it hard to align with the decision taken by Arteta. No, Edu replied when asked if it was easy to support Arteta in making the decision. Of course it's not, because of how many goals Aubameyang scored for a season for the club. How much do the fans like him? How much do the players like to be around him? He said it doesn't matter if he's the captain, if it's someone from the academy, if the boy just started with the first team, everyone has to be treated the same. And if you're not doing what we believe is important for the club, we have to act. And this decision is strong and difficult to make, but we have to make it. You'd think that's where everything ended. Once Aubameyang left Arsenal and did his interview for Barcelona, there would be no more controversy. But you would be so wrong. Because fast forward to when Aubameyang joined Chelsea, his English football restart was overshadowed somewhat by a video released on a channel called A Jewelers. The former Arsenal striker was caught on camera criticising Mikel Arteta's management of what he described as big characters. In a conversation with others in the video, he referenced the young squad Arsenal had to be a result of this criticism. He said, quote, "But to manage big characters or big players, he cannot deal with it." Aubameyang is filled saying, "He needs some young players. They don't say anything, they just listen." One of the people in that video also said he's the one who had the problem with Mesut Ozil, to which the former Arsenal striker nods and says yes. Well, there you have it. The full ugly truth behind Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's Arsenal exit. Although he was a fan favourite and scored so many goals for this club, his departure was very much needed. Now we have a squad full of young players willing to fight for the manager and for the cause. Although he's doing so well in France, we must wish him all the best.